Thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. For today's cook, I can guarantee you've never seen this before. And that's because I'm going to be cooking a brisket the most extreme way possible, going back to thousands and thousands of years. Now the big question is, will it be better than a traditional brisket, or will this be a complete disaster? Well, we're about to find out right now. And everything starts off with this, two beautiful pecker brisket. Now it's called pecker brisket because we have both muscles, the flat and the point. Now whenever you're cooking brisket, the first thing you need to do is to go ahead and trim it. If you trim your brisket properly, it will be better. Now since this is a very inexpensive brisket, we're talking about choice grade, you must leave a good amount of fat in order to be enjoyable. That's why on the lean part, I like to leave about a 1/4 inch. Once I was done with the trimming, this is what they look like. As you can see, I still left a good amount of fat on them. Now here's how this experiment is gonna go down. Since I have two, I'm gonna be seasoning both of them exactly the same. A mixture of 60% salt and 40% black pepper. Now one of the most important things to remember whenever you're seasoning a brisket is to make sure you coat everything nicely. And of course, don't forget the sides. Now one of these briskets, I'm going to be doing the experiment. The other one, in the other hand, I'm going to be cooking it very traditionally. So into my Camp Chef smoker you went, as I'll be cooking it at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for about 4.5 hours. For our second brisket, things are about to change. And I'll be using this ingredient. It is clay, something you might have played with when you were a child. But at the same time, I am curious to find out what it will do to the brisket. As you can see, this is the ingredient that they used to make ovens thousands and thousands of years ago. So hopefully it's gonna make my brisket taste fantastic. At least that's my hope. Now my next important ingredient is this, a banana leaf. To use it, we gotta give it a little bit of special treatment. You see the middle right here? If you cook it with that, it's gonna be bitter. So I like to go ahead and trim it out. Once that's done, I went ahead and clean it real good, just with plain cold water. Next up, we wanna slightly char it up. This will take a little bit of the bitterness that come from the banana leaf. So after opening up the clay, I went ahead and laid down my banana leaf because the last thing I want is for the clay to touch the brisket. Once it was fully covered, I went ahead and laid down my brisket. As now, the next step is to close everything up, followed by adding a good amount of clay right on top. Now the key here is to cover the whole thing with it. The last thing we want is to have little open pockets. So after covering the whole brisket with it, the next step was to go ahead and throw it on fire. Now I don't have a fire pit, but the hottest thing I can actually make in my house is my pizza oven. So inside my brisket went and I covered it up. And surprisingly, after about 5 minutes, take a look. This thing is working extremely well. However, the smell that is coming out of it is not pleasant. Right at this point, I was worried. But I turned it once to ensure that everything was going to be cooked properly. At least that was my hope. As that was happening, it was perfect because it allowed me time to go ahead and make an awesome side dish. And this one was requested by my editors. Now to make it, it is extremely simple, and here's how. Everything starts off with a little bit of oil in the pan, followed by ground beef. Then I went ahead and added Southwest seasoning. As the next step is to go ahead, mix everything well, and add some chipotle peppers. Because once everything was mixed together, my filling is now done. Now for the next step is to put the batter together. And first I threw in some cornbread mix, then I added some milk, followed by eggs, and of course don't forget the butter. Now whisk everything together until you have the right consistency. This is what you're looking for. Now to put it together, it's quite simple. First I got a cast iron skillet, added all my beef filling, pressed it down on the cast iron skillet, added a good amount of cheese. I'm just using regular mozzarella. Now to give that little extra sweetness, I went ahead and added a good amount of honey. As the next thing to add is our cornbread batter. Make sure to cover the whole thing with it. Now to finish it up, I added some extra chipotle peppers, followed by the juice that comes in the can of the chipotle peppers. As you can see, this might be extra spicy. As now the next thing to do is to go ahead and stick it in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Leave it in there until the batter is fully cooked, because once you're done, this is what you're left with. Country style spicy cornbread. Now I'll tell you one thing, it should be perfect to go along with our briskets. Because talking about that, my control brisket was fully smoked. As you can see, my smoker did a wonderful job getting this beautiful color. However, it's not fully cooked or tender yet. To do that and speed up the process, I just like to wrap the whole thing up with aluminum foil. Then back into the smoker it goes until it's nice and tender. Now another important thing is to make sure you let your brisket rest. As you have done so, you want to go ahead and slice it, and this is what you're left with. Absolutely delicious juicy brisket. Exactly what I was going for. Now since this is our control, hopefully it's gonna let us know how good the next one will actually turn out. Talking about that, once I removed it from my pizza oven, this is what came out. out. Now please let me know in the comments down below, how would you describe this? At least to me, it looks like it came from outer space. I've never seen anything like it. And the smell that is coming out of this thing is totally insane. It's like burnt metal. Not very pleasant. But at the same time, I was curious to see how my brisket turned out. This is a rock. I was trying to break it little by little, but that was not possible. I had to use the back of my knife to whack it. And as I was doing so, it started to work. Little by little, I started removing the clay. And at this point, I was real happy I used the banana leaf, as it was the perfect protection for the brisket. Then I started to see it little by little. That got me super excited because the smell immediately changed from burnt metal to delicious meat. And once all of the clay was removed, take a look. We obviously got a little bit of crispiness on one side, but overall you can see that it got a nice color. Right at this point, I got super excited to find out what is it gonna taste like. So I immediately went in for a slice. And as I did, wow! It is as juicy as it gets. But at the same time, the big question is it gonna be better than the previous brisket? Well, we're about to find out right now.
Before moving forward, I want to thank today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. And I'm bringing along my buddy, Professor Death Knight, to talk about this awesome game with over 700 champions and 15 amazing factions, including the latest one, the Sylvan Watchers. Are you ready, Professor?
Let's do it!
So, Professor, who is Death Knight's favorite new champion?
Ultimate Death Knight. He's my #1 boy. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I do.
Okay, so be honest. With all these fresh new champions, are you nervous about being replaced?
Yes, I'm nervous. What if they introduce some guy named Mega Death Knight?
Hold on, Professor, let me tell them all the cool stuff happening with Raid. So you fought the Hydra, and you faced off against other clans. Now you can do both at the same time. Hydra Clash is a new clan-based competition where you and 4 other clans see who can smack the Hydra the hardest. There are sweet rewards too. So rally your clanmates and get ready. For new players, you can get Stag Knight, one of the best epic champions, as well as a skin for Stag Knight designed by John Tron. Just use promo code JTSKIN before October 7. If you're not a new player, you can still get Stag Knight and the skin through an in-game event. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, use my link on the description or scan my QR code on the screen to get insane bonuses. We're talking about an epic champion, Knight Errant, and other useful things. Thank you, Raid, for sponsoring this video, but now let's get right back to it. All right, everybody, here we got our beautiful briskets, gentlemen.
I don't know if it's the day or if it's the brisket so hot. I'm sweating already.
It is hot, everybody. Welcome to Miami. There's one type of weather, hot and sticky. And now you're gonna eat some nice hot brisket.
Perfect combination right there.
So I gotta give a quick shout out to one of my editors. David asked us to make this, so we're gonna give it a try. It is his recipe, not mine. There's only one thing about this one here. He like it real spicy.
Ooh.
You guys ready? I know you guys enjoy spicy too, but yeah, I know. All right. Enough talking because we got a cool experiment here. Once you watch this video, you guys are gonna go like, what in the world is that? Yes, that's exactly what you'll be eating today. I just want brutal honesty.
Oh, trust me, we're gonna give
If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. So let's go. We'll start with this one right here. All right, enough talking. Let's give this a try. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh. Guys, besides steak, brisket is amazing, everybody. It's one of the best things you can have. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me. It is tender. It is extremely juicy, even though this is choice.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very surprising.
Choice grade, inexpensive brisket. Description, I'm taking your job.
I know. You're doing a great job at it too. Like Guga was saying, this is a delicious brisket here. I love the seasoning on the bark. It's very flavorful. The first thing you try as soon as you take it, you get all that fat, the beefiness. The best part, if you ask me, is it's all very
moist. Moist is always better, everybody.
And nobody like dry stuff.
Who likes dry stuff?
I also really like that this brisket is nicely trimmed. Some briskets have a little bit too much fat on it, so it's just kind of gross when you bite into it, but this has the perfect amount of fat and meat on it.
I gotta say, shout out to my boy Brad. You know who you are. He taught me how to trim a brisket like a champ. I hope I made you proud.
Was this brisket aerodynamic?
Very much so. Now it's time for David's side dish.
Oh, God. David's side dish.
If this is bad, we're gonna let you know, David. All right.
That looks real good.
Smells spicy, everybody.
Damn.
Yeah, so what this is that we have some nice, wonderful ground beef on the bottom, which is extremely seasoned, very properly seasoned, maybe a little bit too seasoned. And then we got a layer of cheese, followed by some cornbread. With that being said, enough talking, let's give it a try. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
That's hot. It grips in on you.
Yeah, it comes in at the end. That is really freaking spicy. Damn,
the ground beef is good too. The ground beef is also good, but the ground beef is quite spicy. So what I will say, chill out with the chipotle peppers.
It's very flavorful. It's very peppery, well seasoned. It's just
a little bit too spicy,
but it works really well here and it's nice.
This is delicious. The cornbread is like really creamy and it helps the spice probably a little bit. This would probably be super spicy without
a lot
the
of
bread.
it. You look very sweaty, my friend. You're right.
I feel very sweaty right now.
Good, because now it's time for our star of the show. Are you guys ready for it?
Damn, I wanted a glass of water, now I want a glass of milk.
All right, let's dig in.
Oh my God, it's so tough to penetrate this with my fork.
Are you telling my meat is tough?
Ooh, that is some sad brisket right there.
Yeah. It's not looking great, everybody. But let's give it a try. Give me your honest opinion on this one. I'm very curious.
Oh my God, it is really tough to cut.
It is a little bit tough. I will say this, everybody. It was cooked hot and fast. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
This is like if you cook a steak well done and then you overdo it.
That's so bad.
It's so dry.
It's so tough.
It doesn't have a lot of flavor.
So bland.
Flavor is gone, juices are gone. I'm so chewy.
Look, Guga, I love you to death.
Yeah.
That was the worst brisket I ever had right there. That is so bad.
No, that's okay, because that's probably one of the worst briskets I've ever done in regards to experiment as well.
That is.
Well, I take that back because I cooked one for a month and that one was not edible at all. This one at least is kind of edible, but there's no flavor. The seasoning on the outer crust that I actually seasoned quite well this brisket with got completely overshadowed by the overpowering crust and clay.
Oh my God, you put clay on a brisket?
Yeah, we cook it on clay, like almost like a clay oven, like they used to do it many, many years ago.
There's a reason they don't do it like that anymore.
There's a reason.
Sucks for brisket.
But that is the end results, everybody. This is what it came out with. I did learn something new. I hope you did as well. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. Remember, everything I use is always in the description down below. And
guys, get you a copy of this.
if you guys have not gotten a book yet, I highly recommend. Everything you want is in this book. How to cook the proper brisket, side dishes, and absolutely delicious stuff for your family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.